right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Samantha Barrett, and I'm the Assistant Director of Regional Engagement for the Southeast U.S. I thank you all for being with us tonight, and I hope that you are all healthy and safe. During this time of social distancing, the Rutgers University Alumni Association is offering virtual programs to highlight the important work being done at the university and around the world by our alumni and to help keep alumni connected. Tonight, we are honored to have with us Dr. Matt Matsuda, the Academic Dean of the Honors College. An award-winning scholar and educator, Dr. Matsuda has been a member of the Rutgers History Department since 1993. He was the Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences Honors Program from 2010 to 2015 and College Avenue Campus Dean from 2007 to 2014. He lives as Dean in Resident at the Honors College. And Dr. Paul Gilmore is a distinguished scholar of 19th century U.S. literature and culture with an emphasis on science and aesthetics. Before coming to Rutgers, he was for more than a decade a professor in the English department at California State University, Long Beach, where he also served as graduate studies coordinator. He is also a recipient of an NEH fellowship. And Sarah Pomeranz is currently a senior in the Honors College with a leadership and management major, a concentration in entrepreneurship, and a minor in social justice. She is the co-founder of SULIS. Sarah led SULIS to the finals of the $1 million Hult Prize Accelerator. On campus, she works as a study abroad peer advisor, a Douglas Ambassador for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, an alternative breaks site leader, and a Scarlet Ambassador at the Visitor Center. Sarah is an alum of the Leadership Scholars Program, the Laurie Chair Fellowship, and is working towards a certificate in women's business leadership. Just a bit of housekeeping. All attendees have been placed on mute for the duration of this discussion. If you have questions, please send them via the chat option at the bottom of your screen at any time. We will get to as many questions as possible. It is now my privilege to turn it over to Dean Matt Matsuda.
Okay, thank you very much, Sam. And thanks especially to the alumni for joining us this evening or afternoon or morning or whatever time it is from where you're joining us. We know that these are, of course, extraordinary times, and we're very pleased to share a little bit of this time with you to talk about reasons why you should be just very proud of what your alma mater is doing, and of course, what we're doing at the Honors College. We hope you'll have a chance to meet many of our students and learn more about our work. And certainly when you meet one of our students tonight, and we hope more in the future, that even in these times, you will see why we should all have great hope for the future and the way things are going to turn out. So I just want to begin because although we're going to talk about the Honors College, I realize for many of you, you may not exactly know what that is. You may have seen or heard about it, seen our website, the way the university talks about it. You may have seen us in the press. You may have seen our name mentioned on the global stage. Those would all be wonderful things. Quick sense of the history. The Honors College as an institution opened doors in 2015, so just a few years ago. We graduated only one class last year and another one coming up. Just in 2015, and it was part of the university's strategic plan. And that was not just the Honors College, but a whole range of initiatives to really propel Rutgers into the forefront of national and global universities. That included probably most visibly joining the Big Ten. You've all heard of the Big Ten. The Big Ten, certainly the athletic conferences and the Academic Alliance. It also meant the integration of the medical schools, the units, the research units, biomedical, the creation of a whole biomedical and health sciences, a new university really within the university, if you will. And that has proven to be an extraordinary advantage for Rutgers now in the current situation, with, again, a lot of incredible, important medical research coming out. It also meant billions of dollars in the Capitol building, reconstruction of facilities, a lot of things that have really been going on that have propelled Rutgers really into the forefront, as I said, of national and global universities. So you can be very proud. One of the things that is important, though, in the context of that we know is that for the alumni especially, what about the Rutgers that I came from, as Rutgers of the colleges of Rutgers or Livingston or Douglas or university and so forth. And so when we're thinking about a new academic institution, we need something that would, one, be able to work on this national scale, to be able to really attract the top talent, just as with the Big Ten, the athletics, you want to recruit top academic talent from around the region and around the nation in order to compete at the highest levels. Well, that's true also in honors. In the honors world, you have to recruit for top academic talent because it can go a lot of places and it has lots of offers to go places. So an honors college was one of the ways that we have now attracted some of the most amazing and extraordinary academic talent to Rutgers at New Brunswick. And the way this came together was quite unprecedented in Rutgers history. And that meant that, one, we had an alliance of the 6 major undergraduate admitting schools. So we have students from across the arts and sciences and engineering and business and pharmacy and the environmental sciences and the Mason Gross School of Fine Arts. We put them together and we said we're going to have an interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary community. And when we say community, this was the part which was thinking back to the traditional Rutgers. And that is to say that what we wanted was a place that students could really call home, someplace that would be the classic liberal arts, very intense, very intensive and personal education within the huge research university. So a lot of people say, well, you can either go to a big school and you can get lots of great research opportunities or global connections, or you can go to a small liberal arts college. You can have that intimate experience, close up, get to know the faculty, get to know your fellow students. And we said, but you can do both by putting the big university at the forefront and building a beautiful honors college within it. If you saw the slideshow leading in, then you know what it looks like. But of course, we always say the honors college is not just a facility, it's what goes on there. Every year we take in 500 students and they live on the top 4 floors. And they form this fabulous interdisciplinary community with all kinds of student support, leadership positions, research opportunities, outreach, service, and so forth. The other great feature of it is that we do have live-in faculty right on site. In fact, as dean, I'm dean in residence, as you heard, at the Honors College. And when I open my front door, I'm looking out in the hallway, and right across the hallway, there's a seminar room. And I wave to them and they wave back. We're around for coffee houses. I have open kitchen dinners. Next door to me is the professor of engineering, Dr. Eravazeo, his wife Janina. They're 3 adorable small children. And they are there. And Dr. Mazeo works a lot in our makerspace, our maker lab, which has high technology 3D printers and laser cutters right across from where he is. And upstairs, we have Dr. Mary Chaco from the School of Communications and Information. She does a lot of work in social media and contemporary thinking. And so we have a really extraordinary living and learning community. And that's really sort of been the model, if you will, of how we thought about it. The other thing, just quickly, that's very core to the Honors College is our academic mission. And that's organized around really getting students to think of themselves and experience what it means to be not just students, but change makers in the world. So if you look around the country, there are lots of programs, lots of departments, lots of studies, and honors colleges and programs themselves can be organized around things like reading great literature, big themes and issues, and those are all venerable things, which we also do. One thing we wanted to do was really get students thinking about what is an education for the 21st century. And we knew it had to be interdisciplinary. We knew it meant that it couldn't just be business, but maybe business and engineering and social policy. And you had to think about economics, and you had to think about design and art, and bring all those together, because we know this is a world which is going to continue to change. And so we have the Honors College Forum. It is a mission course, the curriculum, which is taken by all of our incoming 500 students each year. They work in teams, small project-based teams, addressing big challenges, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Some of the goals, and they create innovative projects to address these issues in some sustainable way at the local level. Now, that is a way of introducing the students to really working in cross-disciplinary in a team-based way, critical thinking, what are the skills that they need for the future. But we know that after that, most students will then go on to their majors and their specializations, but some will be interested enough to say, we'd like to continue in this and really professionalize it and take it to the next step. And so what that means for us is we then not just say that was a great project that you imagined, but that we would have something like a business accelerator or incubator. We would invest in you. We would professionalize it. You would have legal advice. You would have technical support. And you would, in fact, be able to realize these projects out in the world and you could launch them and start to make real change. And that also is what we've done. And that's been extraordinary privilege for all of us and an amazing thing to see with the students who have really taken those out into the world and are making the change that we always hoped for. So that's a very, very quick just sense of what it is that the Honors College has come from its conception, its origin. It's basically, we've said over the past 4 or 5 years that it's been a big startup. That is, there was no plan how to do this. University said, we need this. People of New Jersey are asking for it. The people of the world need it. So figure out what that is and make it happen. So that's what we have done. You're probably wondering then, so how's that worked out for you? And where are we now and where is this taking us? And for that, I want to call on my colleague, our administrative dean, Dr. Paul Gilmore, to tell us about where we are and where we're going.
Thanks, Matt. So we've come a long way in 5 years. Matt and I remember that when we were hired on to try to build this together, that the building was not even finished. When we were recruiting our first class, we had parents asking us, will the building be done in time for my students to move in? And we're now on our way to graduating our second class this May. We're setting up a virtual convocation since we won't be able to do it in person, but we're excited to celebrate this second group of students. And the impact has been incredible. Just over the time since the Honors College began, the average SAT at Rutgers, New Brunswick has gone up over 100 points, and the Honors College has been a big part of that. The average SAT of the Honors College itself is higher than every Ivy League school and one of the highest and would be one of the highest in the country if we were a freestanding institution. By most marks we've seen, it would be probably the third highest in the country. Those marks are important, but equally important to us are the kind of community we create and the kind of living learning community that Matt was already talking about. And it's a community that reflects the diversity and the wealth of different perspectives and backgrounds that Rutgers, New Brunswick has and that New Jersey has, and that really the United States and the world that are an essential part for the way that we will move forward in the 21st century. So we reflect that diversity. There's no real majority in terms of ethnicity, in terms of religion, in terms of almost everything you can think of, disciplinary background, where they come from. We are majority New Jersey, but we have a higher percentage of out-of-state students than Rutgers, New Brunswick. In fact, we have had the pleasure of having students from 33 states and the District of Columbia so far. So if any of you are out in South Dakota tonight, we are looking for our first student from South Dakota or North Dakota for that matter, either one of the Dakotas. We're looking for them and we would welcome to our first Dakotans. We have students from over 12 countries. A number of them are actually still on campus and living in the Honors College right now during these difficult times as they continue to do their education remotely. With our first class, one of the big questions was, well, they came in with all these talents, these strong academic backgrounds. What will happen? And they were the first class and even the second class have been amazing. Our first class, the average GPA was a 3.85. The students, for those who went on to careers, their starting salaries were higher than all but a couple of the Ivy League schools. More than a fourth of them have gone on to graduate schools at some of the best places in the world, medical school, law school, etc. This year's class is just as great or even better. We will see what happens with the economic problems we're facing, but in terms of graduate schools, law schools, the kinds of opportunities they have, it's amazing what the tough decisions they're having to make between things. I remember one of our recent meetings, discussing a student of ours, a former tennis player, a varsity tennis player for Rutgers, who's having to make a decision between Berkeley, Stanford, and MIT for her PhD. So those are the kinds of tough decisions our students are facing right now. It's been an incredible privilege working with these students, and they have done a lot to help Rutgers overall and help Rutgers' already stellar academic reputation. We've had the first Schwartzman Scholar, which is the Rhodes Scholar of the 21st century, came out of the Honors College last year. We've had numerous Goldwater Scholars, a lot of Fulbright Scholars this year. Another student that I know Dean Matsuda was talking to recently was having to choose between accepting her Fulbright or all these other opportunities she has. So they are really remarkable students, but they're remarkable people. And that's really been at the core of what we've tried to focus on, is that this is not just about your academic talents or your intellect, but it's about your commitment to community and to the world. And so that's why our motto is curiosity, knowledge, purpose, that we really think that we want to feed our students intellectual curiosity, but it should pay off in something bigger than themselves, a purpose where they're committed to, however it might work, making a better place of this world. One final point, I guess, is one thing that's come up a number of times recently, especially now with the economic downturn, is the kind of return you get on your educational investment. People questioning whether college is really worth it any longer. One of the measures for this that we've been looking at recently is looking at starting salaries for students coming out versus what they actually have to pay. And if you take into account the amount of merit scholarships, the average merit scholarships our students get, in-state students from Rutgers at the Honors College would be far ahead of any school we've seen. The starting salaries are comparable to the best private universities, and yet if you're an in-state student and you're getting the merit scholarships, you're paying a small percentage of what you would if you went to the Harvards and Stanfords of the world. That's a quick overview. I can answer a lot more questions, try to have all those statistics on hand. But the statistics are far less interesting than our actual students. And so with that, we want to introduce Sarah Pomeranz. Sam already introduced her, but we're going to ask her a few questions so she can talk a little bit about her experience at the Honors College. So Matt, I think you're first up.
Yeah, so thank you, Paul, and Sarah, good to see you. So a pretty common question that we get when I have a chance to have a student with us is, why did you choose Rutgers? This is interesting to incoming students as well as alumni, and everyone has a different story. So in your case, give us a sense why you chose Rutgers. Remember that earlier I said that students of our caliber have many choices. So tell us about your story.
Sure. So first of all, thank you both, Dean Matsuda and Dean Gilmore, and everyone for coming out tonight. I know we all have a lot of things on our minds, but hopefully we're able to give you at least, if not some entertainment, some nostalgia of your time back at Rutgers, and give you a sense of some of the things that are going on. So for me personally, I'm an out-of-state student. Dean Gilmore addressed slightly how we have a higher proportion of out-of-state students at the Honors College than Rutgers, New Brunswick in general. So I'm one of those. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, where I currently am living. And for me, when I was considering the college process, in high school, I really wanted to go into hospitality management. And so as the cliche type of student who ends up in an honors college, I suppose I just Googled what was the best school for hospitality management majors, and that happens to be Cornell. And as a senior in high school, I visited Cornell and realized that very quickly that was not going to be the school for me, because people were asking me what I got on my SAT before they asked me my name. And as anyone who knows me, I'm really about the outside of school element. As much as my academic career is really important to me and I love learning in classrooms, I also get a lot out of the social elements and the extracurricular activities. So I knew that that wasn't going to work. In the end, I applied to a lot of schools and had a lot of different options, 8 total, and there were pros and cons to each. I chose Rutgers specifically because of 2 main factors I cite the most. I'd say the number one is diversity. A lot of you, I'm sure, grew up in Jersey or alumni, some of you not, but even during your time at Rutgers, you were just aware of how rich the diversity of Rutgers is. And I think it's something sometimes people from New Jersey take for granted. But coming from Boston, and my brother went to UMass Amherst, the only diversity at his college graduation was the different types of Irish last names. So not so much diversity as much in other schools as there is at Rutgers. It's really unparalleled. And I knew that going into the workforce, the kind of job that I wanted to have and work I wanted to do was going to be one in which I would need to have relationships with people from a variety of different ethnic, socioeconomic, racial, and ideological backgrounds. And Rutgers could offer me that. And then as well as the location, right? So proximity to Philadelphia and New York. I wanted to have internships and access to both of those cities and also to just go and explore them. And I've been able to do that. I've been able to have internships in both of those cities during my time at Rutgers. And at the end of the day, I wouldn't have come to Rutgers if it wasn't for the Honors College. I'm someone who is totally interested in being a part of new things, taking initiative. And to me, the Honors College being new, I was accepted into the inaugural class, actually, and then I reapplied and got in again a second time. I'm one of the only Rutgers students who's ever had to do that because they changed the policy. But I got into the inaugural class, and my thought was, this is going to be a blank canvas. I'm going to be able to have a real impact on this community. Rutgers is a massive state institution. It's Big Ten. We have incredible sports teams. Now more than ever, definitely the basketball team. And we have incredible research opportunities as well. But I'll have this tiny community. I'll have the Honors College, which is my quarter of the community of Rutgers, to really carve out my own path. And so I think it was a combination, I guess, at the end of the day of those three things, really: the Honors College, the diversity, and the location.
So following up on that, Sarah, could you talk a little bit more about the different communities you've been a part of or you've found at Rutgers in your 4 years?
Sure. Yeah. So I've had the honor to be a part of a lot of different communities at Rutgers. I'm a member of the Hillel Jewish community at Rutgers. I'm also a member of the DRC, which is the Douglas Residential College, which is the evolution of Douglas College. For any of you Douglas alumni watching tonight, we are still alive and well, and Dougie fam goes strong. So that was a really big part of my community experience at Rutgers, was being able to be a part of Douglas. In the Honors College, we have, when I was there, we had a Douglas wing. So I had the benefit of having the combination of an Honors College community and then the Douglas community inside of that as well, which was really special. But the Honors College has been a community in so many different types of senses of the word. I think that it's a place where I just feel comfortable going up and having conversations with people, where I can just sit at anyone's table in a seminar room and engage in a conversation, anything from, what was the TV show that you've been binging, to let's talk about some economic philosophy, and all of that was capable. The building itself is really conducive to that, but even beyond the first year living experience, for the rest of my 3 years, every time I came into a student organization or was involved with something at Rutgers, it was often Honors College students who were leading the way, and they were the ones who I was going to go to if I needed coalitional support for a movement I was building or anything I was working on. And even right now in quarantine life, I'm working on an initiative, and the people who are filling my contact spreadsheet of people I have to reach out to are a lot of Honors College students and a lot of Honors College alumni now. So it's a really deep, rich community.
So Sarah, you were just mentioning about even in your quarantine life, your new life, you're still building projects. Could you say something about a particularly meaningful project, experience, or initiative that you were personally involved in?
Sure, definitely. I would say that the defining project experience of my collegiate career has got to be my social venture Sulis, which the origin of was something that Dean Matsuda referenced at the beginning about the Honors College Forum course. So I took that class as a first-year student at Rutgers, as all Honors College students do, and I developed my own social innovation concept. And we did particularly well within the plenary. We were able to actually win. We pitched the concept in front of 250 students and a panel of investors, and we were selected the best project of that semester, which was a great honor. But then the next level, as Dean Matsuda referenced, was, okay, are you going to go out and actualize this project? Is it going to be a reality or just a really cool idea? And there's value to it just having ideation, and that ideation phase has its own value. So I'm glad everyone gets to experience that. But of course, it's great to also go out and make it a reality. I didn't think that the initial idea we had was the right one, but luckily for me, the Innovation Lab process allows other teams to recruit members. And so I was recruited onto the SULIS team as a sophomore by one of my friends who I knew from the being on the Honors College Student Advisory Board together, Honorog. And the idea was we had this early stage technology of a device that is based on a photocatalyst. It harnesses sunlight in order to clean water. And it kills bacteria and pathogens in the water. And we recently published the patent for it, which is really exciting. But in those early months, it was me trying to find out how we were going to take this from just a product to being a business. And we decided we were going to focus on targeting communities in India specifically who were experiencing a pandemic of neglected tropical diseases. We felt like we could have the most impact there. So we pitched at the Rutgers Innovation and Entrepreneurship Expo. Was the first time we spoke about it publicly, and we won that. And that was definitely the moment where I think I had a light bulb and kind of realized, oh, we might be onto something with this. And from that, we've been able to pitch and compete in a lot of different business competitions, meet incredible investors and other student entrepreneurs, go through the Innovation Lab process. And I think really the peak of our experience with SULIS was competing in the 2018 Holt Prize competition, which Sam mentioned in my introduction. So the Holt Prize is a $1 million prize put on in partnership with the UN Holt International Business School and the Clinton Global Access Initiative. And so there's a $1 million prize and you pitch at the UN in the end. Ultimately, we won the Rutgers competition. We won the Boston competition, which was really a shock to me. I was just proud to be amongst the top 6, but to give you a sense of who else was on the stage, we had amongst us was Princeton, we had Yale that we ended up beating out, Brandeis, 4 MBAs from Holt, and a school from Melbourne, which were randomly at our regional competition. But we were lucky enough to win that level and then go on to the Holt Prize Accelerator, which took place in a castle in London for a summer. And we piloted our technology in India before that with Mukesh Patel, who is the director of the Innovation Lab. And so going to India as a college student with my business is just something I could have never imagined having the opportunity to do going into college. And I'm so grateful to the Honors College and to Rutgers for supporting us throughout every step, because I absolutely couldn't have thought of the idea or, thought to make a business like that before coming to Rutgers. And I definitely couldn't have taken it to every next step in the process without the support of everyone.
Thanks, Sarah. So you're graduating, whether in quarantine or not. Yes. So how has Rutgers and the Honors College prepared you for the next step? What are the next steps? Where's the trajectory taking you?
Yeah, sure. Well, I didn't know I was graduating, but I'm glad to know now. I'm gonna have to make some quick decisions. No, I'm really, really fortunate, and I think it's true that you said that it'll be interesting to see how the economic situation is going to impact my peers. But I do know, having a lot of friends who are in the Honors College, that many of us are really, really, because of the support we've had over these past 4 years, we're in the best positions possible, really, to make a good thing out of a difficult situation, as a lot of us have many opportunities. I was interviewing an Honors College student earlier today who said that she had options A through H. And so some of them were getting canceled, but she had like so many opportunities that I think she's going to be all right. She's also a Fulbright recipient. So where everyone is going to be, I think, for the most part, all right, one way or another. For me personally, I'm really lucky because I feel like in the next coming years, I'm going to be able to pursue things that are a meld of multiple interests. I have accepted a full-time offer working for Accenture Strategy in Washington, D.C. I'm really excited because Accenture Strategy actually doesn't recruit at Rutgers, but that's not, the Rutgers spirit says that can't stop me from trying anyways. And so I networked my way into making that a reality. And I'm really excited to be working with them. And I also was recently offered the John Lewis Fellowship through Humanity in Action. So that really focuses on, it dives into working with civil rights issues specifically, or understanding the dynamics of civil rights issues, and then putting that into a modern context and working on community social action projects within your own communities. So I'll be doing that this summer and then moving to DC in the fall to work at Accenture, and there'll be a crossover of the two, but that's great because, right, like I've said, I've spent these past 4 years in an environment that values interdisciplinary work and that says you can get more out of everything you're doing if you look at things from a multidisciplinary and an interdisciplinary lens. And so it's a pretty natural progression for me in terms of what I see my next steps being as a direct reflection of the education I got while at Rutgers.
Sounds great.
Thanks, Sarah.
So, as far as next steps for ourselves, Dean Gilmore?
I think we do have one question at least, but we're willing to open it up to any questions. And so Stephanie, is Keith going to ask that, or should we just respond?
Well, I can read it out loud for Keith. So he is a Rutgers Road to Wall Street alumnus. He asked, have there been any honors college students, former or current, who were participants in the program and shared their experience with any of you guys? He says, thank you.
So I think we can all respond to that in different ways, but Sarah's already nodding her head, and so maybe you should respond, Sarah.
Okay, sure. I'll go. We can give multiple stabs as we're waiting for more questions to come into. I know a lot of personal friends who have gone through the program and who have gotten a lot out of it. I'm a business school student, so I think that there was a strong effort to pursue the honors college business school students and business school women particularly for the Road to Wall Street program, and I have had several friends who have done it, as well as I know Amol Latoya is a honors college senior who's essentially the student lead on the Road to Wall Street program currently, and I would say that, yeah, a significant portion of the Road to Wall Street program are honors college students, and in general for everyone, that seems to be the case amongst all prestigious programs and selective programs at Rutgers now, is you're going to see a very high representation of honors college students amongst those different constituencies. But you have to remember also that within the honors college community, we're already very diverse. And so though it's slanted towards honors college in terms of we're the type that are going to go out for these programs and they've all spoken very highly of it. It's also we are definitely bringing different perspectives to those programs when we do enter.
And Amol is an interesting person just in himself, that he's actually in the School of Engineering, but pursued the Road to Wall Street. And is it Credit Suisse? Where's he going? Do you remember?
Find out.
I think so. But we've had a number of students in our first two classes who have benefited greatly from Road to Wall Street, with the kinds of doors that has opened up for them in terms of internships and then the positions they finally get. And I think we're helping. The business school was already doing great things, but with some of the students we have, we're getting students into some of those internships that was hard for Rutgers to fight to get into, but we're moving more and more students in that direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. Amol Latoya is going to Credit Suisse.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I can just add, just kind of on the Amol theme about different paths. The student earlier, Jonathan Su, who also did Road to Wall Street and spent some time doing the internships and the placements in the firm. And so of course they offered him a job upon graduation. And interestingly, this is this is one of those unfair, incredibly talented people, but so there he was. He said, so there I was, and I was, like on the 30th floor of the glass tower, looking down and thinking about this job offer. And he said, but this firm, they wanted me to wear a tie and a suit every day. I realized I didn't want to do that. So he left that. He turned down the offer and he went to med school. And he just graduated this last year. And so this is not everyone's experience. I understand that, but it is an example of how the interdisciplinary approach really comes to bear. The students have multiple directions, but as Sarah and Paul Gilmore have said, we have Credit Suisse, Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank, Citi, and also one of our great supporters at the Honors College of scholarships has been Harvey Schwartz, who was formerly one of the principals at Goldman, and he's been very good supporting scholarship students. So we have a lot of really great ties with, and he was also one of the key players in sort of initiating, right, and supporting the Road to Wall Street initiative from the beginning, reaching out to his network, and then all of his people, as he always says, he reached out and said, you know, I always see all these guys from, you know, the Harvard guys hire all the Harvard guys, and the Yale guys hire all them. You know, where are the Rutgers guys hiring all the Rutgers people, right? And so they built that out. And so we've had a great opportunity to work with them and with him, and with, as Paul Gilmore said, with the getting students into these opportunities, such as Sarah pursues by not saying, well, I guess they don't recruit here, but I guess I'll just do it anyway.
Yeah, I would add to that also, I think that it's important to also consider that it's not just honors college students opening doors for themselves, that then they're really opening doors for Rutgers in general. And that I have friends who honors college seniors now who are going to start working full-time at Microsoft, at LinkedIn, at McKinsey, at companies that definitely aren't traditionally recruiting at Rutgers, with the mindset that, yeah, I want to build a Rutgers contingent at these schools. Like, I want to pull other Rutgers students into Accenture strategy. And that's the mindset of my peers as well. But to the point of the story you said about the student who turned down the that job, I think it makes a lot of sense, because a lot of Rutgers honors college students are the ones who are not going to necessarily only make their decisions based on the prestige of the offer. I mean, obviously these are all really prestigious institutions, and we get accepted, and some of us do choose those paths. But a lot of honors college students turn down bigger named institutions to come build the honors college. So we're the type of people who might say no to a six-figure salary out of college to work on a smaller startup, or to get a PhD, or to do something else. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Thank you, everyone. I've actually been sent a few questions privately, so I can ask you those now. What are virtual classes like for you right now, Sarah?
Topical. Yeah, virtual classes are a unique experience. I must say, I had never taken an online class before March. A lot of my peers do take online classes at Rutgers because we offer online classes, and some of them are really popular, especially for our students who are working full-time or in co-ops. It makes a lot of sense for people in different phases. What I have to say is, switching to virtual when professors didn't have a chance to prepare for classes to be virtual is a unique challenge, which some fare better than others. But I do feel like some of the classes that I'm taking right now, I definitely still feel like I'm getting the same level of value out of, and that the professors have been really creative with how they use WebEx or Blackboard Ultra or whatever tool they're using to split people up into groups so that we have our own inside chat rooms, then bring people back. We're still working on group projects. We still have our essays. I just finished my thesis. Very little was put on hold in terms of the expectations. But of course, also, I think my experience and my friend at Rutgers' experience has been that people have been really understanding as well, and have been accommodating to the fact that we have students. I'm working in groups of people who are in China right now, and who are students who are living in China right now, and we need to accommodate those time zone differences as well. And Rutgers, as a global institution, gets that better than I think a lot of other places do.
Congratulations on finishing your thesis.
Thank you.
So this question is for the dean, just kind of piggybacking off of that. As the ones running the dorm, what needs to happen for you to feel comfortable to opening it again in the fall?
Okay.
Well, you live there, Matt, but I don't.
Okay, I'm happy to go.
I mean, I can answer too.
Yeah. So the way that the residences work is in terms of a series of decisions that were taken in terms of policy, which integrate the entire sort of public health apparatus, the office of the chancellor, the office of the president, student affairs, residence life, all those different layers. So I guess when I'm sort of responding to this question is to say it would be interesting, but probably not a great thing if Paul Gilmore and I just said, we think it's about time to reopen, use this. And I realized this is, you could read the national news and say, okay, make your own decisions, right? But we don't work that way at the university. So we are in, I would say, daily, sometimes it seems some afternoons, hourly contact with our partners who are in the health services, who are in residence life, who are in security, who are in student affairs, who are doing the support, because there's lots of elements to it. Part of it has to do with just the logistics of moving a lot of people around, hundreds of people around. Part of it has to do with, interestingly, and perhaps not surprisingly, there's also a lot of emotional and psychological and displacement issues which are currently taking places. There are also things which are quite large at the policy level, which are not something that we at the Honors College think about, but have to be keep in mind, which is that the university, because it's currently doesn't have a full student population on campus. It does have, as Paul Gilmore said, it does have quite a number of students who are international or out of state and need to stay there. But it is also resourcing its sites and its housing to institutions across the state that need it, healthcare workers, in some cases, logistics people. And so the university, as it was after Hurricane Sandy, is acting as a resource for the entire region, because there are few places where you can have the kind of space and the kind of immediate setups, the kinds of mobile medical units that you can have at a university. So we're coordinating with all of those things. For me personally, when I see all those things back in place and the go sign from all of our partners, I would be pretty reassured that it's been done right. And I feel comfortable about that. As Paul Gilmore said, and I think he was only half joking, I do live there myself, 24 hours a day during the school semester. And so I wouldn't ask students to do anything I wouldn't do myself.
That's great, thank you. I have another question for Sarah. Are there any experiences you did not have that you wish you could have participated in?
Ooh, you're asking the wrong student. I really feel like I did everything I possibly could have done and more. I joke with the deans that I think I net positives on Rutgers, as in Rutgers invested more money in me and my passions and invested more in Sulis than I paid in tuition money. So that's really tough to say, quite frankly. Just some of the other experiences I was able to have. I know you mentioned briefly in the bio that the alternative break. So I went to Guatemala to do a coffee farming trip my freshman year. I led a trip to Northern Ireland to discuss peace efforts and religious conflicts as a sophomore. And I was working on a trip this year to go to Selma, Alabama to do civil rights, truth, and reconciliation work. I also studied abroad in Florence, which enabled me to travel to accomplish my goal of visiting 30 countries before I turned 30. And none of that really would have been possible without Rutgers. So it's so tough to say what I wish I could have done that I didn't. I have no regrets. I mean, do I wish that I would have been able to have a last couple months of my senior year of college? Yeah, that would have been nice. But I think there are other students who are kind of kicking themselves a little bit more that they didn't make the most of the time they had. But I approached college very much from a perspective and philosophy of you never know what's going to happen, and you don't know when the next global pandemic's going to hit, almost. So you got to make the most of every day. And by gosh, I'm really thankful I had that philosophy going in.
That's great. I have another question for the deans. As the founding deans, what do you believe the future holds for the program? Are you looking to increase the recruitment?
That's a great question for Paul Gilmore.
Thanks, Matt. So I'm not sure what you mean by increase the recruitment. We're going to stay, I think the plan is to stay at the same size of about 500 students per year. There are still the school-based honors programs. So in fact, when we came on board, the number of honors students who are in honors programs at Rutgers New Brunswick almost doubled overnight. So that's been a great part of the community. In the second and following years, the students from the different honors programs and from the honors college all have the opportunity to live together. They take a lot of classes together. So it's a very big and vibrant community in that way that's beyond just the Honors College. I think where we want to see the Honors College go in the next few years is really looking at the kinds of students we're bringing in to make sure that we're finding all the talent out there, right? That it's not just us looking at I mean, the SAT scores I led with, but, and they're important. They're a measure that kind of crosses across schools and school districts, but we want to make sure we're finding the top students in every nook and cranny of New Jersey or anywhere. So really expanding our reach, making sure that the top student in a school in Southern New Jersey that may not have the same kinds of resources or opportunities or AP classes that some of the incredible school districts in New Jersey have, that top student is being recruited and being brought into the Honors College, as well as the students with the 1550, 1600 SATs. So that's a big focus, I think, over the next few years. And I think it's really one of the things that Matt and I've seen the Honors College as is, first and foremost, it's really not about the Honors College, it's about Rutgers. It's about what the Honors College is doing for Rutgers. And part of that is that we are a laboratory for the whole university, that we can try things out with our smaller group, our community of 500 students. So one new program that's starting up next year that's somewhat based on what we're doing is a program that's opening up some of the social entrepreneurship, social innovation ideas to a larger part of the incoming class for next year. So that's a key part for us, is trying out different things, trying new things. And I think that's one place, to pick up on an earlier question, moving quickly, our mission class, the forum, moving from in-person, very intense in-person to online has been a big challenge, but I think that we're doing some really incredible things there with, the students are still working on teams. They're meeting a lot with our teaching fellows, with our director of the class, and so seeing the ways that we can still leverage community and even if it's virtual. And those are things that I think we can then translate to the broader university when we move back into being in person, but still utilizing the possibilities that technology brings us.
Great. I have one more question. So for Sarah, with all of the opportunities you were able to take advantage of, what surprised you the most at Rutgers?
Ooh. I think part of what surprised me the most was probably, I think for Rutgers alumni, definitely people talk about the perception of Rutgers, and the image that Rutgers has within New Jersey is really different than the image that Rutgers has outside. So I guess this wouldn't surprise me, but I think it was something a lot of students found more surprising, was just really the caliber of individuals within the Honors College and within Rutgers more broadly. And I was always just constantly inspired by how much students were dealing with and managing on top of their being, excelling academically and on top of their involvement, right? At that, Rutgers students have real problems that they're facing, whether that's home or personally, and they have a lot of drive and a lot of spirit, and they have a lot of persistence, and that's something that I've come to really appreciate. I know I personally come from a place of a lot of privilege, and so it was a really nice opportunity for me to reflect on how much people are dealing with, and I think that's made myself and my other Rutgers peers really empathetic to what this situation, this current moment is for all of us, because we're all going through this moment of hardship right now. But it also puts in perspective how much we have to be grateful for and how much other people are facing in this moment. And I don't think coming into Rutgers, I didn't really anticipate how much other people had going on top of their coursework. I mean, talk about Rutgers students and college students in general as like priority being, party, go to the gym, go to classes sometimes maybe, right, as the stereotype. But at the end of the day, a lot of these students are taking care of families and working a couple jobs on top of their classes. And it makes me really proud to be a part of this community where we support people who are doing it all, and we are also understanding of people's needs with that in mind.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And I want to thank everyone for their questions, and thank you, Deans and Sarah, for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
We get to unmute everyone, and so they can go, yay. Well, we don't see you and we don't hear you, but we know you're out there. We just want to thank you. One of the things that we do tell the honors college students, I think you saw some of the pictures of the facility, is that even after the first year, or as you head out into the world, that we want you to think of this as a place to call home. And we hope you feel that way about not just the honors college, for our honors college community, but for the alumni in general, about Rutgers, place to call home. This is where we are. This is where we hope we'll see you again. So thank you to everyone. And Sarah, your last just remarks, that was like a prayer right at the end there for the future. And I'm so glad that you were able to deliver it. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I hope everyone also feels free to reach out to us and stay connected with the Alumni Association and Foundation, but also feel free to connect on LinkedIn or email us. I'm sure the deans are, inundated with emails all the time, but would make time for especially alumni. So feel free to reach out. Thank you for wearing your formal headphones, Dean Gilmore.
Yeah, I think they were my children's when they were 10, but it's what we've got, you got to do what you got to do during quarantine.
Yeah, you have to get really resourceful.
Yeah.
That's good. Are you guys?
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.